Hey, another drop of Voices of Innovation, the author series. So we have some more authors, co-authors with me today. Super excited to welcome both Sergio and Mark. So welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Ed.
And I'll jump right back to you all in a second. But first, clearly the main purpose of this video is to ask you to make a minor investment and purchase this book. And then listen to Sergio and Mark talk about the amazing innovation that they've experienced and share with you in the book. So the book is a great framework for innovation. And what's the best part about it is it's full of, I think it's 35 to 45 different individuals and companies who are doing innovation today and saving people's lives and all the other benefits that we get out of innovation in healthcare. And so you get this great framework, these stories. So, it's not just theory and academic, but it's like you could buy the book and like put this into practice in your own organization, whether you don't have any innovation going on or you're in the middle of it. This will certainly enhance it. And so that's, one of the coolest things is sharing best practices from around the globe. The second, it's great, I think, for the individual contributors to have that experience as well as the companies that are involved. But maybe most importantly, is all the author proceeds go to cure cancer. In this case, it's Mary Crowley Cancer Research. It's a stage 1 clinical trials company located in Dallas, Texas. I serve on the board. The intro is written by the CEO, and there's definitely a case of innovation in here from them, how they're saving people's lives. It's just the coolest place. You go there and, you're just thankful that there's people like them that work there doing what they do to help save people's lives. So that's really what it's all about. So it's super practical, and you're helping an organization and a community. So with that, Mark, I'll let you start. Please introduce yourself and your organization, and then we'll roll to Sergio, and we'll dive into your chapter.
All right, Ed, thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. Yeah, Sergio and I work for Murata Electronics. Probably not a name that's familiar in healthcare at all, but we're a very large, over $16 billion Japanese manufacturing company that makes electronic components. And so we're everywhere in cell phones, automotive, but the expansion continues to be in the area of healthcare. And so, with us being in North America, there's a lot of focus now to grow that new business chance. So we're in Corporate Technology and Innovation Group. I'm housed and located down in Atlanta, Georgia. I've been with the company over 25 years. And so my job is to help lead the innovation piece for business realization for healthcare.
Cool. What about you, Sergio?
Yeah, so I'm on the same team as Mark, slightly different focus, but maybe taking a step back, my background was initially in a wide variety of things, from autonomous vehicles and ground transportation to financial services. I spent some time in medtech, and now here at Murata. Only been here a couple of years, not as long as Mark, but focus on the same technology scouting across various different sectors, medtech or healthcare being one of them.
Yeah, and it's so cool. And that's what I love about your contribution is, because I always talk about this, how we need more external influence from, outside of healthcare into healthcare. And there's so much that we can learn from other industries. So I remember when you're both in both editions of the book. And I remember when we were compiling essays and contributors for the first edition, I loved it. It's like the fact that you're not just a healthcare company, you do other things, like as you mentioned, and you're bringing some of that thinking and innovation into healthcare, which I think is super rich. And then the other thing I really liked was your focus on culture, because the first part of this innovation framework, wisely so, is all about culture. And so I know, Mark, why don't we start with you? I know, without giving away the whole story, let's talk about your contribution and sort of, what you had to do in order to blend cultures in order to succeed in innovation.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'll say, the company we have, our company philosophy, we call it the Shaze. And that's a unique Japanese concept. And it was set up by the founder, Akira Murata, in 1954. And it stands today, even in the modern era of all the challenges we have. And basically it established values and how, each employee should operate. And a lot of that is about innovative thinking. So we use that, that concept exists across the board globally, not just, in Japan, but also in North America. We have it hung up in a wall, different locations to remind everybody daily. And so, the key challenge there is, in the book we comment on, there's two big differentiators. One, you have the Japanese American business culture, and then you have startup versus large corporation business culture. And they're very different, and yet there's a lot of similarities. And we talk about the need to have a champion, a need to, look at the differences when we're looking at the Japanese versus American business cultures. That, with American and a lot of Europeans, we're to the point with our messaging. But in Japan, a lot of it is this nuanced language. It's the body language. They don't always come out, and it's consensus-based decision making. So sometimes you might leave a meeting and think you got the point across, and you find out later that you didn't. So there's a lot of that trial and error and repetitive and patience and necessary then to have a champion who's somebody who might be a Japanese individual who can speak the language well, but also understands the North American culture, business culture. And we gain a lot of those individuals by being expats. And so in the first edition of the book, we talk about a startup company that we got introduced at Cleveland Clinic and, went through that process. And now in this version, we talk a little bit more broadly about how we've expanded, how we're being innovative. And a lot of that has to do with the contributions that Sergio and his group is bringing. So I think I'll leave it there and pass the baton over to Sergio.
Yeah, Sergio, so from your perspective, how is the whole blending of cultures? And I like Mark was saying in the second edition, can you shed a little bit light, like what did you do? How did you, make things happen?
Yeah, I think, being agile is really important. Obviously, for it's critical for startups internally. How you build that culture around being agile and a little bit more decentralized in a very large company. I think that mindset often comes from the top, right? And so making sure that your board, understanding that your executives and top management really understand the importance of innovation is always really helpful. One of the benefits for Murata is many of our top managers have been at the company for decades, right? And so that is a huge benefit that we have, where that baton keeps getting passed on, and we kind of understand the importance of having innovation as a growth factor for the organization. But I would say, that culture of having the ability to be agile, having the ability to provide some budgeting for companies, for pilots, for direct investments, all of that's really important. And then also having internal champions, that has to be part of the culture to make sure that these engagements that we have with these startups are smooth and seamless. So that's important.
Yeah, and I think, one of the things that you brought out, again, we're not going to go any deeper than this because you have to buy the book.
Right.
But I mean, it's in some ways it's simple, but in some ways we kind of forget it in the business environment for whatever reason, or we make these assumptions. But some of it was just simple, if I recall, like how do you get to know the other culture? Mark or Sergio, can one of you talk about that? How you sort of lived a little bit in the life of the other culture so you could better understand it and bring the two together?
Yeah, I think, I have a unique perspective on that. I had an opportunity actually 2013 to move to Japan. And that's how I switched internal roles. So I lived in Japan for 2 years and worked at our corporate. And so it really exposed me to a lot of this innovative thinking and, put me in the centralization of everything. So I could see how decisions were made, and I could appreciate, how communication is and why we do things and why we don't. And so having that internal knowledge, experience in it real time, has been a valuable tool for me. So I can be patient when I need to be patient, learn to push when I need to push, that type of thing.
Yeah, because in healthcare, it's similar where, especially if you're a non-clinician and you're more of a technical person, well, the only way to bridge that gap and blend culture is to live in their world, right? And so, I mean, you literally did that. You don't have to go to that extreme, all the time. Although that's a great great example, but it's just, living in each other's worlds a little bit and understanding, and that helps provide these insights for both parties, right? It goes back both ways.
Both sides can learn from each other. There's without a doubt, both sides, regardless of how big the company is or the individuals, the background and knowledge they think they have, you can always learn something from the other party.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, look, we wanted to tease everyone out there watching, with enough sort of information to get people to take action and buy this book. And you'll hear the Murata story in there, and it's just really practical application, how you can make that happen. And your example is an extreme one of two completely different cultures, languages, letters, the alphabet, and you made things happen and make innovation happen. And so it's less difficult, less challenging in many ways, taking that same example that you provide, and like we said, talking with clinicians or talking with finance, like if you're a non-finance person or whoever, so many different, corollaries. But your chapter in both of the editions really helps to give you practical ideas how to do it. So I just want to thank both of you for taking the time to write. I know it's not easy trying to perfect even just 4 or 5, 6 pages is not easy to have really strong writing. And you took the time to do it twice now, and also for being on this video with me. So thank you so much for your help.
Thank you, Ed. Thanks for having us.
All right, so we'll drop how to get a signed copy of this book into your hands into the comment section. And thanks for watching.
Take care.
See you.